What are you going to do if you are getting persecuted? For example, by police or other people. What are you going to do? And what are you going to do if you spread the word to people and they don't want to listen? I will tell you this right here. When it comes to people who don't want to listen, for example, if you handing out gospel tracts to people, and if they say no thanks, I don't want to have one, it's very important, if you have the chance to preach some anyway, say something. For example, that Jesus is God, He is the only way to heaven, or when you're burning in hell, you will regret that you didn't take this gospel tract. Some people out there may be saying now, but that you can't say something like that. I want to tell you, this is the words from Jesus Christ, because Jesus have told me to say this to certain people in certain situations.
Jag har skriften om evangeliet, om Bibeln. Du vill inte komma till himlen, vill du ha en sån? Vill du ha en sån? Vill du ha en sån? Jesus är den enda vägen till himlen, utan honom hamnar ni i helvetet. Han älskar er jättemycket, jag säger detta med kärlek. Jag vet att han är Gud, utan honom kommer ni hamna i helvetet. Ni kommer ångra er på domens dag, att ni inte tog det här, för här står det hur ni finner Gud, hur han uppenbarar sig för er. Vill du ha en sån här?
Jesus himself warned about hell more than he preached about heaven. It's nothing mean to preach about hell. It's the truth. Hell exists. Scare other about hell is a good tactic. Myself, I would maybe never give my life to Jesus if I wasn't scared to burn in hell. It's very important that you preach His love, His mercy, but also His wrath. It's very important that you preach about heaven, but also hell. It's like what it says in the Bible, that we shall preach the whole counsel of God. The whole thing, not take out some parts and because some people don't want to hear it. You shall preach everything. But back to what I was going to say, if you are going to hand out a gospel tract, for example, to someone, and that person say no, Jesus have told me that it's very good to preach some anyway, say something, so that person get the truth in the ears. And anyway, if he don't want to read anything, say something. So the truth, like an arrow, goes in his heart anyway. But don't stay there for too long. If someone really don't want to hear, say something, but then stop, because then it's what Jesus says in Matthew 10:14. He says, "And whoever will not receive you nor hear your words, when you depart from that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet." So you shall not continue to keep preaching to people who don't want to hear, but say something anyways is very good to do, because you have a duty to preach to everyone you can, every time you get an opportunity to do so. But if when you have said something and if they don't want to hear, then you shall move to someone else. It's like what Jesus says in Matthew 7:6, "Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine." So don't give the holy to the dogs. Don't give God's word to those who don't want to listen. So don't keep preaching to those who don't want to hear. And when you are persecuted, flee persecution. Don't continue stand there unless you have the rights to do so. For example, if you go to a school and preach to the students at that school, if the people who work at that school comes to you and say you have no right to be here, you must leave, then don't fight with them. Then leave. Like Jesus says in Matthew 10:23, "When they persecute you in this city, flee to another." Flee to another. Go to another school. Probably they will say at that school to leave that school too, and then you can go to another school. Then you preach in many different schools. It's like Jesus continues say, he say, "For assuredly I say to you, you will not have gone through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes." He mean that you will be persecuted. So when you go to a place and are persecuted, go to another place and you will probably be persecuted here too. So continue walk around and flee persecution. But if you have, however, for example, are out on the streets and you have the right to be there, you have the right to preach there. And if the police, for example, comes and say you must leave, if you know that you have the right to be there, then you shall not flee, of course, you shall stand there and keep your rights. So very important is that you always keep a camera on you if you go out and preach. It's very important, because then the police and other people cannot lie later that and say things that never happened, that it happened, because you have evidence in your camera. So keep a camera on you, and if you know you have the right to stand somewhere, keep standing there. But if you don't have the right to stand, keep standing on a place, flee to another place if you are being persecuted. That's my point. Now do what Jesus says in Luke 10:2. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Be one of the few that follow Jesus Christ and obey him. Do what he tells you to do, and when you die, you will for sure be in heaven. I hope I see you there, dear friends. God bless you.